Smart 24, driving business.
Right now, we head to the Coffee Court. The Agriculture Credit Facility was established by the government to spark grow industrialization. This has evolved to include the Small Business Recovery Fund, which was established in 2021 following the COVID-19 pandemic. And tonight, Fred Makubia interacts with Richard Biaruhanga at the ED Finance Bank of Uganda to understand the progress and limitations so far. This and more in the Coffee Court.
My pleasure, and thank you for joining us on the Coffee Court. This is where we ask the critical questions, fundamentally questions that matter. This time around, we'll be digging deep into some of the critical sectors under Bank of Uganda. And this time around, we'll look at a fund that Bank of Uganda has set forward to help some of us who are running business enterprise that have been affected by COVID-19. And Mr. Bialugaba, Richard is the Executive Director in charge of Finance at the Bank of Uganda. Mr. Bialugaba, thank you for finding time to speak to us.
You're welcome, Fred. Thank you. And thank you to those who are listening.
It is my pleasure. If you don't mind, kindly remind us, what are your roles as Bank of Uganda?
So our role in terms of this workshop is to manage the funds that government has given for us to grant, to extend to the business communities, those engaged in agriculture and those that were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So we want to help them recover from that COVID pandemic, which was unfortunate, and also those who are engaged in agriculture, because this started in 2009. Banks were reluctant to lend to agriculture because of the risks that are there. And, you know, we depend on weather, and also there are other issues of pests and diseases that affect crops and animals. So the government put money so that the borrowers, the farmers, can access it at a cheap rate. Currently, we lend at 12% to those who are engaged in agriculture,
okay,
which is much lower than the commercial rates that banks give. And so this has helped in a way to ensure that farmers have access to finances. And as you know, we depend on agriculture. We employ so many people in agriculture, about 3 million. But also, we are looking at ensuring food security for this nation, so that we always have enough food for the population before we think of even exporting to other areas.
Just to be sure, why particularly the agricultural sector?
Because, as I said, the agricultural sector was being ignored by lenders because of the risks of weather, of pests and diseases. So there was very little money going into agriculture. And so government thought it wise to put in resources so that we have enough money for the farmers. That's the reason why agriculture, because the other businesses are not affected by what affects agriculture. For example, if you have a shop, you are not exposed to the risks of agriculture.
Sure.
Yes, because if there is heavy rain, you don't harvest. If there is heavy rain, you close the shop and open the next day. So the reason was banks found that lending to agriculture, their money was not being recovered.
So we are
and then the other thing, now we have given confidence to the banks that actually agriculture is a lucrative business because the money we have been lending has actually been recovered. We have a recovery rate of more than 96%.
As we talk right now, how much money, to be particular, has been set by Bank of Uganda?
In agriculture, government has given us more than 300 billion as of December, 300 billion to lend. So what happens when we lend?
As of December this 2022. Oh, yes.
So what happens when we lend to you 100 million, for example, when you return it, we lend to another person. So the turnover is high. So that's why we are saying that since inception, we have actually lent 751 billion shillings to 2,970 borrowers because it is revolving. So 751 is cumulative. So when government gives 300 million, right, billion, the participating financial institutions give a matching fund, the equivalent. So if we have 300 billion from government, then we have another 300 from the banks.
Okay.
Yes, so it is 50-50 sharing.
So whom do you give this money to? You seem to be suggesting it comes direct from Bank of Uganda.
Okay, so what happens, as I said, we have what we call participating institutions. These are institutions that are regulated by Bank of Uganda. So you have commercial banks, which are tier 1, credit institutions, which you call tier 2, and micro deposit taking institutions. Any of those that has a license from Bank of Uganda partners with us, and also the Uganda Development Bank, because it is regulated differently from the other commercial banks. So those are, we call them participating financial institutions. We have an agreement between them, Bank of Uganda, and the Ministry of Finance, the government, to participate in this project. And so when a customer comes, because they don't have accounts in the Bank of Uganda, they go to their institution and request for the agricultural credit facility. Many times we have challenges that some banks will want to give their own money as opposed to this. But the reason why we are here and why I'm here is to create awareness that when you go to a commercial bank and you engage in agriculture, ask them the government funds, the agricultural credit facility from Bank of Uganda, because it is at a concessional rate of 30%.
Haven't you come in at a very, very late evening? COVID-19 came in 2019. We are now in 2023.
Okay, so you see there is agriculture and then COVID-19. So the COVID-19 funds were given to us in 2021, okay? 100 billion from government. This is different from agriculture.
Okay.
So we are not...
No, but you can't separate COVID-19 from the agriculture.
COVID-19 and agriculture are different. Because COVID-19 is every other business. You are talking of saloons, schools, supermarkets, any business that is not agriculture.
Okay, so let's first digest the agriculture.
So we have finished agriculture, which is at 12%, and it must be agriculture on the agricultural value chain. Either you have a farm, you have crops, or you are processing something from agriculture. Okay, you have a maize mill, you have a store which collects say rice and maize. All that is under agriculture.
So you talked about the lucrativeness of the agriculture sector. Yes. How lucrative is this?
What we see is that the people who have lent the money have actually grown. If they had, say, I can give an example, if they had 40 cows, now you find they have 100 and they have already paid off the loan. So we have helped them to increase their productivity and increase their stock. So because of and we visit to see the impact of the money we have lent. So we have seen that the people who have accessed this money have actually grown in terms of the size of their business and quality. Because we are talking of even we finance things like irrigation. Okay. We do cattle dipping. So the quality of animals has increased. We provide milking parlours. We provide coolers, you know, and even for those who are engaged in crops, we provide transport. If you have a matoke plantation and you have challenges of bringing your matoke to the market, you can ask for a lorry, a fuso lorry, and we finance that one. We also finance tractors, to make sure that people produce more and quality.
So if a farmer out there would want to have access to this money, what are some of the credentials?
Okay, so what they need to do is to approach their commercial bank. They must be having a bank account, right? They must be having some basic books of accounts, because we need records to assess whether this person will pay back the money. Okay. So they also need to have things like business plan, but also security.
So just to be, what exactly are you meaning by security? Because that's where land title, that is where most of us lose.
Logbook, if you are borrowing for a lorry or a tractor, the logbook will be the security for that facility.
So if I don't have a land title, I know many of them will come to you, especially those that subscribe from the micro, small,
okay. So we
and
have
medium enterprise.
We have small farmers, like in some regions, they group themselves together and they want, say, to buy inputs or pesticides. So we have a product which we call block allocation, which we introduced in 2018, where you do not have to have security. You come as a group, and then you bring chattels. We accept chattels. Chattels is like if you have registered your bicycle, your TV with the URSB. So we accept those ones, and it is normally based on the character, the integrity of the person. But because of lack of title and all that, the loan is limited to 20 million per person.
Okay.
For the smaller ones in villages, 20 million.
Well, those viewing us, Mr. Byalugaba Richard also manages a fund called the Credit Facility Small, of course, fund. That fund is basically for the businesses that have been affected by COVID-19. Why this fund as well?
Okay, so you remember during COVID, there was a lockdown. True. So people lost businesses, lost customers, and so when the economy was open, we needed to help people who had been affected. So a fund called Small Business Recovery Fund was set up by the government, 100 billion. So the banks put a matching fund of another 100, so the total is 200 billion. So this was set up to help businesses to restart.
To come
to life again. Yes. So that's because this one also goes to, if you want to repair your taxi, because it has been parked for a very long time, maybe it has gotten spoiled, no tires, no nothing, we finance up to that level of a taxi, border, K06, And also what we are discussing with the banks now, because some of those people had loans in the commercial banks that they had not paid. So we are going to give you money, some of which you can use to repay the other loan which you took before COVID, so that you can continue doing business.
Mr. Byalugaba,
every business that is not agriculture, small as it is.
I am glad I'm engaging you on a very critical subject.
Small as it is, even if you media, if you want to buy another microphone, another camera,
we come to you. We go to the financial institutions.
Then they send the file to us.
You see the challenge we've had, and good enough I have the privilege. I'm talking to the executive director. Usually, government comes out and pronounces itself on some of these funds, but I can tell you, having access to this money is another challenge.
This money is available. What you are saying is that possibly we have not reached out to everyone.
Exactly.
We need to do more of awareness, so that people know their rights, that the government has put funds for them and they have a right to access it. If you are denied, you can write to Bank of Uganda that I went to this institution, they did not give me the money, and then we shall address your concern.
To be in particular, where in Bank of Uganda?
You can write to the Executive Director of Finance
and say I went to Bank X and Y to have access to this money. And then I did not get this money.
You can also write to the Director of Communications.
The same credentials I'm supposed to have with agriculture, the same credentials?
No.
What are these therefore?
These ones is specific because the small business is defined. You must have 2 employees. You must have turnover of 300 million. and so it is slightly different, but it fits all the small business, what we would call small business.
So research has shown you said you have over 200 billion. You've only given out 7.
About 7 years.
Isn't this
Because
a shame?
People are not forthcoming. The problem is, one, we have to do awareness. Two, most of our businesses seem to be informal. They don't want to approach banks, right? Others fear that maybe when they approach banks, they will be taxed. So we have to remove the fear that people have. But we have lent money. You know, that 7 billion, some people borrow 200,000, 500,000, so the sizes are small. Okay. That's why the money, it looks like we have given little, but we have given very many people. Yes, we need to give more because this money is available for that purpose, to restart the economy and so that people can be active again. So the money is there. People are not aware. We have to do more awareness. That is for sure, to reach out to every corner.
So your clarity and assurance that this money has already been posted to the commercial banks?
We don't post it to the commercial banks. When your file comes, right, say you want 100 million, for example.
How does my file come to Bank of Uganda?
Because the money for government is in Bank of Uganda.
But my relationship with you is through commercial banks.
Yes, that is true. So the commercial bank will send your file to us. Once we see that it meets the criteria, we give them the 50 million, they give you the 50, you get 100. In fact, for this one, once the commercial bank
bureaucracy is exactly what I was talking about.
The commercial bank is happy, right? For the small business recovery fund, they disburse immediately. Then we reimburse them. They give you the money
That bureaucracy, Mr. Byarugaba, is exactly what we keep talking about. You go to commercial banks, you wait for Bank of Uganda.
You cannot,
at the end of the day,
you cannot invite,
my business is dying out.
It cannot die out.
And yet the role is simply to help me recover.
It cannot die out. You see, Bank of Uganda cannot reach every corner of the country.
That is
the
true.
reason we partner with the commercial bank is that they are spread. They are everywhere, and they know the customer. If we said everybody comes to Bank of Uganda to pick the money, it will not work.
You would
out.
cease to be Bank of Uganda.
Because somebody from Karamoja now coming to Kampala to pick 200,000, they have spent it.
But
so why don't they pick it from
from
Finica, from Opportunity, from Stanbic in their region?
So if that is the case, that all of us cannot come to Bank of Uganda, it means now as executive director, your strength should empower the commercial.
That's why I have called them the inside here.
This is exactly what you're telling them.
Yes, that's what exactly we are discussing. We have called them here
where the SM
to help the government program, because they also need to work in a healthy environment, in a healthy financial sector. If you are doing business in a poor community, I mean, you can't make it.
You would have the SMEs on ground as well, especially if you're discussing issues that pertain
so now
to survival.
You are coming to where we are going. We want to get the commercial banks to tell us what their problems are, right? And what their suggestions are. Tomorrow, we are meeting the head of the Federation of SMEs. I think it's called Mr. Wargembe. So we are meeting tomorrow to draw up a program to meet his group, the members. This is Kasita, I think the Association of Private Schools. There are so many organizations. So we are going to meet Kasita. Each of those, their members. Kasita will come with their members. We sensitize them. So how to access this money.
If I don't come through an association, it means I cannot have access to this.
No. The whole public, that's why you are talking to me. The whole public is free to walk to a commercial bank or a credit institution or a micro deposit where they have an account and ask for this money.
What is your anticipation at the end of the day? Because this fund has not just started. It is still in the pipeline.
This is 1 year. We got the money 2021. So along the way last year, we thought we should change some of the parameters, eligibility criteria, which we changed. And we signed the MOU, the addendum, the amendment. So that's what we are discussing. Since we signed the amendment, what has caused the challenge again for SMEs to access this money? Okay. So this is why you have this workshop, for them to explain to us why they are not disbursing the money.
Well, my pleasure this time.
So we shall meet those Kasita, those businesses, Grain Council, everyone. We have to meet them and sensitize them. We have done this, right? So we want to know why they are not coming. And as I told, it seems there is something that we need to discover. Either they are not formal.
It could be one of those, but I know when they come, they'll be able to let you know.
Yes,
some of those,
and we should help them.
Critiques.
We should be able to help them.
Mr. Byalugaba, your parting shots on this matter as we plan to wind up this interview. Your final remark as well.
My final remarks is appeal to Ugandans to get as much information as possible and access the finances on the agricultural credit facility and the small business recovery, so that as a country we can restart the economy after COVID and also ensure food security and develop. We need a healthy population, a population that is financially active and financially aware. This is where the world is going.
Exactly, and as a business channel, we will continue to follow up this matter because it's a very critical and sensitive matter. Thank you, Mr. Byalugaba, for speaking to us, especially on matters regarding the development of this economy. He is in charge of finance here at Bank of Uganda. This is the Coffee Court, and my name is Fred Makubuya.
Of course, now that brings us to the end of business today. Many thanks for being part of the entire bulletin. It is a week of celebrating women and, of course, empowering the women in business and those in leadership roles. May it be fruitful for you and the rest of the people you share with ideas. I'm Jorum Sonko with Winnie and Nakawuki on Sign Language. Till tomorrow, have a good night and a good evening.
Smart 24, driving business.